parliamentarians to monitor and hold the government to account on your behalf. Is not every country gives citizens this kind of power, you know? And at 20 years we have this law, and we barely use it. So access information and mind your business, Jamaica. Visit jampja.org today to see what information we access to make it easier for you to hold the government to account. Let's do our job to make Jamaica land we love, Jamaica land we own, and Jamaica land we run well. A message from the Jamaica Accountability Meter Portal, funded by the European Union in partnership with the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica.
This is the Aedes aegypti mosquito that spreads the Zika, chikungunya, and dengue viruses. Search for its breeding sites and destroy them. This is the Aedes aegypti mosquito that spreads the Zika, chikungunya, and dengue viruses. Protect yourself from the bite of this mosquito.
A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Almighty God, by whom alone kings reign and princes decree justice, and from whom alone cometh all counsel, wisdom, and understanding, we, thine unworthy servants, here gathered together in thy name, do most humbly beseech thee to send down thy heavenly wisdom from above, to direct and guide us in all our consultations. And grant that, we having thy fear always before our eyes, and laying aside all private interests, prejudices, and partial affections, the result of all our counsels may be to the glory of thy blessed name, the maintenance of true religion and justice, the safety, honor, and happiness of the king, the public weal, peace, and tranquility of the island, and the uniting and knitting together of the hearts of all persons and estates within the same, in true Christian love and charity, one towards another, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
You may be seated. This honorable house now resume its sitting. Let me first welcome persons seated in the gallery, particularly those who are here from Negril. Members, today is National Alumni Day. We will commence with call of the roll and then a small reminder on how much it is important for us to remember our school alma mater. Clark. You proceed with call of the roll.
Mr. Clark, here. Mr. Bartlett, Mr. Holness, Dr. Clark, Dr. Chang, Ms. Grange, Mrs. Williams, Mrs. Mallow Fort, Dr. Tufton, Mr. McKenzie, Mr. Chuck, Mr. Vaz, Mr. Charles, Mr. Green, Mr. Warmington, Mr. Morgan, Mr. Hutchinson, Mr. Terry Long, Ms. Smith, Dr. Dunn, Mrs. Cuthbert Flynn, Mr. Mean, Mr. Davis, Mr. Witter, Mr. Brown, Dr. Brown-Burke, Dr. Charles, Mr. Chin, Mr. Cousins, Ms. Crawford, Ms. Daly, Ms. Davis, Mr. Golding, Mr. Graham, Dr. Guy, Mr. Graham, Ms. Hamilton, Ms. Hannah, Mr. Henriquez, Mr. Henry, Mr. Hilton, Mr. Jackson, Mr. Lawrence, Ms. Lee, Mr. Miller, Mr. Montague, Ms. Morrison, Mrs. Nita Garvey, Mr. Paulwell, Mr. Phillips, Dr. Phillips, Mr. Robertson, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Samuda, Mr. Shaw, Mr. Siblist, Mr. Slowly, Mrs. Vaz, Dr. Wheatley, Mr. Williams, Mr. Wilson, Mr. Wright, and Mrs. Cuthbert Flynn.
Thank you. Members, today, the second Wednesday of October, is National Alumni Day. The day we in Jamaica recognize the impact alumni have had on the educational institutions that fostered the development of those institutions. This is the third commemoration of National Alumni Day, following the proclamation made by His Excellency, the Governor General, on the 12th of August, 2021. On this day, we are called to remember that the term alma mater means nourishing mother, and that is what the schools we attended were for all of us. Our alma maters were environments for building our minds, training our bodies, feeding our spirits, and for forming lifelong friendships. They were essentially the nurseries that allowed us to blossom into the people we are today. It is our duty, therefore, as beneficiaries of these noble institutions, to share our cash and our kind, our time and our expertise in helping to mold those who follow in our footsteps. Whether they choose to refer to themselves as the Past Student Association, Old Boys or Old Girls, alumni have contributed to their alma maters by providing financial support, mentorship, by being inspirational role models to the current students of these institutions. They demonstrate that they believe that the formation of our children, in fact, all our students, is a collective effort. One cannot mark this day without mentioning the work of the Jamaica Alumni Association of High Schools, an umbrella group representing alma mater and past students associations across Jamaica, which have done significant work in bringing the efforts of alumni associations to the fore. I wish to acknowledge the various alma mater associations across Jamaica and indeed the diaspora, which support institutions at all levels, whether it be early childhood, primary, secondary, and tertiary. I also salute each alma mater and all these institutions who, outside of an established association, recognizes a need and contributes in his or her own way to a school. For those who have not yet become active, and I hope there is none of us in here who are not active in our alma mater, yes, we should make sure that we join our past students associations. We are encouraged, and I continue to encourage you to see how you can have a positive impact on your own alma maters. I do so with a few words from the song of my alma mater, St. Catherine High School. Each one holds you as a mother, sister, teachers, student, all. Loyally, we stand together, ever ready at your call. Thank you, members. And I'm sure you're now fondly remembering your own alma mater, every single one of us. House Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just looked at the Minister of Education and figured she may want to say a few words. But just to say, I don't know who else remembered. Gainstead. Great. I'm proud of my alma mater. And just to say that Gainstead was originally a boys' school. So when I went to Gainstead, I was one of 5 girls in the class. Right? So, so I had to be strong, you know that. And then on top of that, it was a private school. So a downtown girl attending a private school with uptown students with my short picky hair. So when the girls did this and flashed their hair, I would do this. But I have fond memories, and I left Gainstead as head girl. And I'm proud of the achievements of that school. We had a very stern headmaster, Mr. Wilmot. Was quite an experience. And somehow, one day he looked at me. Here I am trying to to maintain decorum in the class and have everybody behave themselves. And I get up, mainly boys, and I'm trying to get order, and one of the boys come and put his arms around me. And in walked the headmaster. And he said, Olivia, you have the knack of getting yourself into trouble. But I have very fond memories, and today I just want to big up my school and to also just say that it's important that we recognize the institutions that help to mold us, and that we should always remember that we must give those institutions support as they nurture others. So, Madam Speaker, I think the Minister of Education would wish to say something.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's a delight and a pleasure to join in recognizing all the alumni groups here in Jamaica, as well as those in the far-flung corners of the diaspora, who continue to give of themselves and of their resources to their alma maters. I have seen many medical missions, I've seen equipment, I've seen books, a variety of resources that the alumni groups have given. And I want them to know that we appreciate it from the Ministry of Education and Youth, their help of the schools in Jamaica ensure that schools have adequate resources, or at least more than the ministry is able to give at this point in time. So we have an open arm for our alumni groups in terms of helping them to connect to the schools, and in particular, I'm thinking of the National Education Trust that was formed by a prior Minister of Education, none other than the Prime Minister, to streamline donations into our schools. And we have ensured that there are persons at the National Education Trust who are directly responsible for helping or the donations that come into the school, whether it be through alumni groups or others, so that they don't have to go through a long, circuitous way in order to give back to our schools. And so today being Alumni Day, we celebrate all of those who contribute. And I would like to say publicly, I want to thank all of those at my primary school, which is Ty Dixon Primary School in St. Catherine, and my high school, which is Ferncourt High School in St. Anne. I know Ferncourt has a robust alumni group, and every time I go there, they can point out different things that this group has contributed. So to the alumni groups all over, thank you for your support on behalf of the many schools in Jamaica.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to join yourself and the Minister of Education and all members of the House in celebrating Alumni Day. I too want to recognize my primary school, which the member from Southeast St. Andrew also attended, which is Hope Valley Experimental School, which is in the constituency of Eastern St. Andrew, and also Jamaica College that I attended, which is also in Eastern St. Andrew. Madam Speaker, it is important that we celebrate this day, especially for those of us who are MPs for rural constituencies. The importance of what we will call Past Students Association. As the Minister in her comments mentioned the contribution of these Past Students Association to the development of education in the country, be it from the diaspora or locally. Because I can speak about Jamaica College because we have a robust mentorship program. Where you would have seen the redevelopment of Jamaica College from past students, from old boys. So as we celebrate the day, it is not only about celebrating, but for those of us who can encourage other schools to develop past students association, which will help in the development of not only the school infrastructure itself, but the students who attend those schools. So we on this side also celebrate Alumni Day.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I could never allow my colleagues to speak and I don't participate. From my preparatory school, Mona Preparatory School, I think that's in Minister Williams, for which many of colleagues on this side and that side and in the upper house went to for good or for bad. And then, of course, Campion College. Campion College. Again, where so many of my colleagues. Where was she? Campion or Mona? Well, let me tell you something. I can remember my principal. Daphne K. Vidal-Smith, who had a cane, and the name of the cane was Mr. Tickler, for which I got many tickles. And then on to Campion College, which I got many A's, 2 types of A's. A's for being a good student and A's for absent. But guess what? I'm here despite that. And I can tell you that it's all because of those 2 institutions, both at the preparatory level and, of course, the high school level. So I take great pleasure in remembering those days, and those 2 schools continue to be exemplary schools. Not telling you their country. You don't even know where Campion there. Not telling you even know where.
Hold on a moment.
They are Clarendon College.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Of course, I couldn't allow all of these Kingstonian past schoolmates to stand up and speak and not speak about my alma mater, Morland Bay High School. Yes, Carpe Diem. And I have to say that I understand the importance of giving back to your school, and I'm very proud to say that this week, Morland Bay High School is actually celebrating all week long. I will join them on Saturday. I need to let them know that I'm very jealous right now because I see all the pictures being posted. And, you know, I come from good stock. Or they come from. Let me explain this. Hansel Parchment. I'm sure all of you know that name, right? Hansel Parchment in track and field. Myself. We have Dion Jackson Miller, journalist. We have Dr. Brian James, who was a past MAJ president. Yes, that's just to name a few of some of the people who have passed through Morland Bay High. And I have to say, that I'm very proud of the work that the Alumni Association, right across, not just in Jamaica, but right across the diaspora, that they're doing. To give back to the school, and they're working on quite a few projects right now for the school. This morning, I saw a few students actually handing over some fans to the Princess Margaret Hospital. So I'm very proud of Morland Bay High School past students for the work that they have been doing over the years, and we will continue to support the school in any way that we can.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I could not allow my colleagues to speak about their school without not paying tribute to the greatest high school, the only college in the Western Hemisphere, Kingston College. Madam Speaker, we all know that the KC Old Boys are the best across the Western Hemisphere, and Madam Speaker, I have to say I owe a great deal to Kingston College. Indeed, I've been to University of the West Indies, Oxford University, but I still believe that the good character I have was developed at KC. Under the tutelage of Bishop Gibbs and Douglas Forrest, I felt, a commitment that I must live a good life. And Madam Speaker, I think KC boys have a spirit which no other high school possesses. Kingston College, no, it's a fact. You just, Madam Speaker, have to see them at champs. And what is amazing, Madam Speaker, is when champs comes around. Masses of KC boys come from all over the world to champs. And I saw it at this year champs, Madam Speaker, where there's one KC old boy, Audie Hewitt. He has been supporting champs for the last 60 years from his high school days. And I would say, Madam Speaker, that the KC old boys are now pulling together for their 100th anniversary in 2025. And there's a program to raise funds to build an auditorium. And believe me, Madam Speaker, I'm giving it full support. We don't have an auditorium as yet. We are giving it full support so the 2025, the 100th anniversary of KC, will be a big event in Jamaica where we will certainly shine. KC will once again shine. Madam Speaker, KC, between 1962 and 1976, won champs 14 years in a row. And we are the school that has won champs most. And people used to refer to us as a sports college. But believe me, Madam Speaker, we have had some outstanding academics. I don't want to start naming them. But Madam Speaker, I want to thank you and the Parliament in celebrating Alma Mater Day. I think it's a good thing. And we all must really support our schools. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, it is with great pride that I stand to speak of my own alma mater and the alma mater of the first female to sit in Parliament in Jamaica. Yes, this is Mrs. Iris Collins Williams, a proud past student of the Westwood High School. Yes, and it's fitting, Madam Speaker, that I'm sitting on this side because Mrs. Iris Collins Williams was also a member of the Jamaica Labour Party. What is more important, I think, if we were to do a polling of the female parliamentarians in Jamaica, past and present, Westwood High School will stand proudly as the school that has produced the most female parliamentarians, both in the upper and lower house. And these parliamentarians, Madam Speaker, they sit on both sides of the house. Our motto is ora et labore, work and pray. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. How is it that the East is represented very well and we don't hear from the West? So I stand tall. I stand very tall in representing my alma mater, which the Deputy Prime Minister is a past head boy, and my colleague Dave Brown is also a past student of Cornwall College. Yes, we change boys into men of might. I am on the up. And so, Madam Speaker, today, this week we are celebrating our homecoming week. And so, Madam Speaker, I am very proud as one of those that went through the walls of Cornwall, and still proud to say that I am a Cornwallian. And CC, as it is affectionately called, is located and found in Success. And so, Madam Speaker, today I am very proud No, you have some Clarendonians who stole the name, and I'm not going to point anybody out. But they are not CC, they are CDC. And so today, Madam Speaker, all of us who went to the school on the hill are proud MOMs. Thank you.
Madam Speaker,
No.
I want to acknowledge the two schools that Mikhail mentioned, Hope Valley Experimental, which I think we have the distinction of being the only two parliamentarians who went to the same primary school. And it was an experiment. It was an experiment of able-bodied and those who were differently abled. And it started by opposition leader's father when we had the polio outbreak. So we were exposed to persons who had challenges. And frankly, I would say here, that exposure helped to shape my social consciousness about dealing with a number of different people, and that being the norm. And so I want to acknowledge that school and the role that it continues to play in Eastern St. Andrew. For Campion College, I don't think there's any other high school that has more parliamentarians in both the upper and the lower house. There are 5 members in the lower and 3 members in the upper house. It is the envy of everybody else because it is the most, and whenever I speak about the school, we get this reaction, but all of you want to send your children there, right? Most of you. Okay. But it continues to do well, not just in academic excellence, but in co-curricular activities, and has produced many balanced Jamaicans who do well both in the private and the public sector. I want to acknowledge in the gallery the president of the Jamaica Association of Alumni Schools, which is Mr. Wavell Hines, who is here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I went to a high school, Madam Speaker, which was founded in 1960 by then Minister of Education, Florizel Glasspool. And history at the school is recorded at him having said that he wanted a high school in a parish near to where his mother came from, which was Hampstead. St. Mary High School was founded in 1960. And by faith and courage, school motto, we have persevered over the years, producing many distinguished Jamaican men and women. In the parliament here, we have 2, myself and the member of Parliament for Western St. Mary, Robert Montague. Madam Speaker, I did not want to send my children to Campion. I went to St. Mary High School, and my children went to St. Mary High School because I felt that the school provided the type of quality education that was befitting of them growing up in Jamaica, not necessarily in the rural area, but in Jamaica. I want to say that the association is very strong. They have been contributing to the development of the school, and I think the project that is on stream now is to provide a school bus for the institution. We have done very well over the years, and we will continue to do very well in future.
House Leader, just a moment. Let me recognize the other persons in the gallery as well. Carla Myrie, immediate past president for Hampton High School. Evan Thompson, Excelsior High School. Kadeem Harvey, president for Bridgeport High School. Anna K. Brown, chair for the National Alumni Week Planning Committee, the Queen's School alumni. Thank you very much for celebrating this day with the Parliament. House Leader?
Yes, Madam Speaker, just before we get into today's business, I want to, as you get older, your experiences overlap. And I just want to indicate that Mr. Wilmot was the principal of All Saints Primary, which I attended. And the principal for Gainshead High was Mr. St. G. Ganier. And those two gentlemen had great influence on me. So, Madam Speaker, it is now time to continue the constituency debate today with contributions from Mr. Morland Wilson, MP Western Westmoreland, and Mr. Robert Chin, MP Manchester Southern.
We do not have anything on the order paper, so I'll say statement by ministers, announcement, bills brought from the Senate, petitions, papers, reports from committees, notices of motions given orally, questions and answers to questions, motions that may be made at the commencement of public business requiring notice, motions relating to the sitting of the House, motions for leave to introduce bills, presentation of bills without leave of the House first obtained, public business. House Leader. House Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So at this time, as we continue the constituency debate, presentations will be made by Mr. Morland Wilson, MP Western Westmoreland, and Mr. Robert Chin, MP Manchester Southern.
Thank you, House Leader. On his feet, Mr. Morland Wilson, MP, Westmoreland Western.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And first, I will start by asking for permission to speak from a seat that is not my own.
Permission granted, 30 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Don't waste time.
So let's get on to it. So, Madam Speaker, I will start.
At the beginning?
Yes, at the very beginning. I will start my State of the Constituency presentation this morning with Psalms 127, verse 1, which says, "Unless the Lord builds the house, the builder labors in vain. Unless the Lord watcheth over the city, the watchman stand guard in vain." Madam Speaker, I start this year's State of the Constituency debate by giving praises to Almighty God, from whom all blessings flow. We continue to ask for the Lord's blessing and to bless our leader, Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, granting him strength, wisdom, and foresight to lead this country and our people. Amen. Mr. Speaker, on September 3rd, 2020, I am forever grateful to the 6,148 constituents who decided to bring change to the constituency of Westmoreland Western, and that was on one course for some 33 years. Some of them are here. To my family, friends, and well-wishers, thank you for your unwavering commitment and support. To my executive and management team, my council candidates, to the hard, committed workers of Westmoreland Western, to my 3 sitting councillors, I say thank you. Mr. Speaker, I would also like to acknowledge those who are sitting in the gallery: Ms. Lily Williams, Christopher Muslim, Kedin Jackson, Mark Phillips, Ms. Valda Finley, and Mr. Keen Johnson, and the students from the Mount Airy Primary School. Mr. Speaker, I would also want to pause here for a quick second to recognize the 2 newest councillors to join the governing Jamaica Labour Party, Mr. Garfield James and Ian Miles. Mr. Speaker, Mr. James and Mr. Miles saw the proverbial light. They saw the transformational leadership of Prime Minister Andrew Holness. They saw the stewardship that I am guiding the constituency of Westmoreland Western. And when they compare it with what they call chaka-chaka, they had no choice but to cross the floor and leave the bagger behind. Mr. Speaker, There are stakeholders who are committed to the development of Jamaica, the Negril Chamber of Commerce, the Rotary Club of Negril, Jamaica Hotel Association President, Negril Chapter, and our churches, school, and civic groups. I thank them for their continued support and commitment. Mr. Speaker, I would like to share my vision of the constituency. We believe that a partnership with the people is necessary to move Westmoreland Western into a glorious future where the citizens have tangible jobs to provide for themselves and their family. We are restoring hope in the constituency where opportunities are many, where hard work and productivity result in prosperity for all, a constituency where workforce is educated and skilled, and where every citizen can enjoy a high standard of living. Mr. Speaker, I will start my report on roads. Our roadways, such as Tollgate to Grangeville, Grangeville to Glasgow, Grangeville to Little London, Tollgate to Locust Street, are in a deplorable state for many years, some dating back some 30 years. Mr. Speaker, recently there was a 3-day protest by taxi operators at the beginning of the new school year. Parents, teachers, and students who were all anticipating the opening of the new school year was left stranded on the first day of school and had to improvise to get to school and back home. Mr. Speaker, there were images on social media circulating where our school children were in trucks, pickups, and police cars trying to get an education and trying to get home and to school. Mr. Speaker, the images underscore the dire need for an effective and efficient and secure transportation system for our schools and our students. With over 6,450 students in the constituency, we welcome Minister Vaz's presentation yesterday when he announced that he is looking into the development of a rural school bus system program. The introduction of such a school bus system, Mr. Speaker, would have seen where in schools like Little Bay and Little London High, it has significantly reduced absenteeism, truancy, and lateness. Mr. Speaker, we would like to take the opportunity to report to this Honorable House and to my constituents who are listening that under the Spark program, some $2 billion were allocated to roads in Westmoreland. And for Westmoreland Western, we have Tollgate to Glasgow, Grangeville to Glasgow roadways, Grangeville to Little London, Barham to Bath Mountain, Negril Roundabout to Parish Border, and Negril Roundabout to Big Bridge are all slated for repair under this program. Mr. Speaker, I'm also happy to report that work have started on the thoroughfares Grangeville to Glasgow and Fullersfield to Paul Island, thanks to the partnership with the Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Minister Warmington. Mr. Speaker, there is a growing chorus emerging for serious consideration to be given to the reintroduction of small road repair teams per parish for small and emergency patching of our roadways. It is commonplace to see small groups of men mixing cement and filling potholes along our roadways. Mr. Speaker, road traffic accident continues to be a challenge in Westmoreland Western and is a massive burden on our health services, that is the Savlamar Hospital. During my presentation last year, statistics from the National Road Safety Council was presented on motorcycle accidents. However, this year, the cows have walked onto the scene. Over the past 6 months, the National Road Safety Council has reported 6 persons have died from stray animals coming on our roadways. And this does not include those incidences where it does not result into death. 3 of these crashes occurred in Westmoreland Western. While 4 of the victims were motorcyclists, 1 was a pillion, while the other was traveling in a private motor car. Mr. Speaker, I renew my calls to the Westmoreland Municipal Corporation and the Mayor of Savlamar, Mr. Bertel Moore, to move with haste in establishing an animal pound to contain the stray animals. Mr. Speaker, we see the Mayor have admitted on record as saying we have noticed the stray animals on our streets. So it is not a hearsay. Westmoreland is waiting for a pound for over 6 years. Mr. Speaker, I'm also calling on Rural Agricultural Development Authority to actively start identifying owners of these animals, include them into training. Yes. These trainings should include livestock rearing and caring, and importantly, tagging their animals for safety and security. Yes. We have seen where tagging of animals will go a far way in reducing prudent larceny and identifying animals in case of theft and recovery. Mr. Speaker, Westmoreland Western has one of the greatest concentration of motorcycle in the country. We have motorcycle taxis in Westmoreland Western. However, there is nothing in the Road Traffic Act that supports the use of motorcycle for a taxi. As I'm seeking, Mr. Speaker, the support from the Minister of Science, Energy, Telecommunication and Transport, Honorable Darrell Vaz, in formulating a policy to develop for these important stakeholders. Mr. Speaker, I will move on to river training. Mr. Speaker, the Cabarita River, which is the 5th largest river in Jamaica, flows through 21 communities and is a major gathering site for many community members, including myself, for many years. During the height of the sugar industry, the Sugar Company of Jamaica would on an annual basis carry out river training or river cleaning exercise. But since the decline of the sugar industry, these rivers and river cleaning activities have stopped, with resulting in flooding in many low-lying areas. Mr. Speaker, a group of 45 fisherfolks who use the river for their livelihood contacted my office requesting a section of the Cabarita Bridge known as Big Bridge to be cleaned. A letter was sent to the National Irrigation Commission Limited, who made equipments available to carry out river cleaning of not only the Cabarita River, but also Liquor Bridge, Dutch Canal, and Matney Land. Mr. Speaker, I would want to propose to this Honourable House that a policy should be developed with the National Irrigation Commission to clean critical drains across the parish of Westmoreland, as many of these rivers provide an economic basis for many of our fisher folks. Mr. Speaker, I will move on to water. The constituency of Westmoreland Western are suffering from water shortage for many decades. Of the 5 electoral divisions, 4, Friendship, Grange Hill, Little London, and sections of Sheffield, are supplied by the Bullstead treatment plant. This, Mr. Speaker, as you can imagine, poses significant challenges whenever there is the slightest disturbance at the plant, resulting in 4/5 of the constituency being without water. Mr. Speaker, over the past 3 weeks, Bullstead treatment plant has suffered from mechanical issues, low voltage issues, and turbidity, resulting in my phone being flooded with calls of complaints about unable to get a proper shower. Mr. Speaker, I have made representation with Senator Honorable Matthew Samuda about the progress of the Negril Water Improvement Project, which will see water being harvested in Rowan River and passing through all the 4 electoral divisions ending in Negril. Mr. Speaker, I would like to provide an update to this Parliament on the water shop for the Morland Hill community. Recently, the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Honorable Desmond Mackenzie, and myself toured the Morland Hill community to establish and to scope the development of a water shop for the community for persons' use. Mr. Speaker, I am happy to report that after 60 years of wait, we are now establishing a water shop in Morland Hill that will supply at least 90% of the persons in that community. Mr. Speaker, during my State of the Constituency debate, I reported that residents in Brighton and Orange Hill are connected to the NWC network. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to report that I'm now working with NWC on a scheduled date for residents in retirement to sign up and get water in their pipes. Mr. Speaker, this government is committed and is working for the people of Westmoreland Western and Jamaica. Yes. in ensuring that every Jamaican has access to portable and reliable drinking water. Mr. Speaker, after 30 years of delays, and that's right, Mr. Speaker, 30 years of delays, construction has finally started on the Negril Fresh Fruits and Vegetable Market. What? The first phase will see the development of a temporary facility to relocate approximately 25 vendors from the site on which the market will be constructed. Phase 2 will see approvals from the Westmoreland Municipal Corporation and various approval agencies such as the National Environmental and Planning Agency, the National Works Agency, and the Jamaica Fire Brigade, after which we will see commencement of construction. Mr. Speaker, I want to express my appreciation to the Honorable Desmond McKenzie, Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, for his commitment and for keeping the commitment of this government to ensure that we provide the kind of environment for our market folks to work in, for people to go and shop and feel comfortable. Mr. Speaker, on to education. Just under $9 million was spent in education, on education in the constituency over the past 12 months. Under our back-to-school program, $6 million worth of vouchers were issued to over 1,800 students, while our annual back-to-school treats were held in all 5 electoral divisions and saw over 1,000, an additional 1,500 students turning out for bounce-about, popcorn, hot dog, and other children delights, and of course, school bags, books, and stationaries. Mr. Speaker, it was Malcolm X who said, "Education is a passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today." Mr. Speaker, as leaders, we must help our young people who are unsuccessful in obtaining high school certification, and therefore a proposal is being made to put forward to this Honorable House for Hard Trust NTA to offer preliminary course to these youngsters to assist them in matriculating into certified programs. Mr. Speaker, such an initiative will have a positive impact on our youths and hold significant potential for growth. This program will also go a far way in supporting participants in gaining practical knowledge, improving their communication skills, their team building skills, and to develop a strong work ethic. Mr. Speaker, recently I met a student in my constituency by the name of Antwain, who invited me to visit his school, Grange Hill Primary, to talk to children about bullying. He said it was important as he shared his personal story where 2 of his fellow classmates accosted him during his lunch break and shoved his head against the school wall. This resulted in Antwain visiting the doctor for medication for a concussion. Wow. Mr. Speaker, based on the recent reports of bullying across schools and across the country, I am seeking the Ministry of Education support to introduce an anti-bullying lesson or a program in schools where and across the constituency to alleviate any further escalation in behavior. Mr. Speaker, I would also want to thank the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, the Honorable Horace Chang, for his Live Good program. Yes. Grange Hill High School in Westmoreland received several musical instruments, sports gears such as keyboard, trumpets, drums, along with netball, football gears, and other sporting equipment from this program. Jamaica is renowned for its reggae music and its sports. Therefore, if students who are given these instruments and have sporting talents can put them together to transform their lives, livelihoods, and community. Hear, hear. Mr. Speaker, this program is innovative and it is transformative, and it transformed the lives of many at-risk students and youths in troubled communities across the island through music and sport. In the same breath, I'm seeking the support of the Honourable Minister and the National Security Ministry to expand this program to the Little London High School, as we are now seeing the need for such a program that creates family space and offer family opportunities as well. Mr. Speaker, we speak about housing. There is a continued and steady increase in the number of informal settlements on lands traditionally used for the agriculture industry. The demand for housing is evident in Westmoreland Western as people migrate to the constituency for family, work, and opportunities in the hospitality sector. Mr. Speaker, steps are being taken to address this housing crisis in the constituency. The National Squatter Survey had a team visiting the constituency over a 2-week period in which 18 communities were identified for regularization process. Mr. Speaker, this is a working government who is working for the people of Jamaica and working for a better Jamaica. Mr. Speaker, there is more good news. I want to express gratitude to the Honorable Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, the builder, for his leadership and foresight in directing NHT to start construction on the Sheffield Palms housing development in Westmoreland Western. Sheffield Palms development is located in New Hope District and features 120 units developed catering to hotel workers, low-income buyers, and first-time home owners. Mr. Speaker, I turn this Honorable House attention to the HOPE program. Madam Speaker, just under a year ago, the country was rocked with news from Springfield, Westmoreland, when fire engulfed a home of 4 children. Adriana Leng, who suffered burns to 97% of her body and is the sole survivor, was flown to the Joseph M. Stillburn Center in Georgia, where she underwent 26 surgeries. Madam Speaker, on behalf of the people of Westmoreland, I want to place on record my appreciation to the Most Honorable Prime Minister for not only taking interest in the welfare of Adriana Leng, but also awarding her a 2-bedroom house under the HOPE program. Madam Speaker, it should be noted that an additional 9 fire victims who lost their homes recently is also scheduled to get homes from the HOPE program. Madam Speaker, I now turn the House's attention to climate change and the environment. Our environment is important to this government, as we can see by its signatory to several climate resilient initiatives. We have signed the Paris Agreement. We became party to the United Nations Framework of Convention on Climate Change. We implemented a Climate Change Focal Point Network, CFFPN, and the list goes on. Madam Speaker, the Negril Environmental Protection Area, the EPA, was declared a protected area in 1997 and is one of the largest natural coastal ecosystems in the Caribbean region and is the 2nd largest coastal wetland in Jamaica. Negril EPA is located in Westmoreland Western and encompasses 406 kilometers squared of coastal and marine ecosystem and contains 6% of Jamaica's coastline. Madam Speaker, the Integrating Water, Land and Ecosystem Management in the Caribbean Small Island Developing States, the IWECA project, was developed and funded by the Jamaican government and the United Nations Global Environment Facility, GEF. The IWECA project focuses on 3 priority areas: hydraulical restoration, the renovation of imperative centers, and improved interagency and stakeholder engagement and communication to support. Madam Speaker, the overarching deliverable of the IWECA project is to promote conservation of internationally significant wetland biodiversity through sustainable use of wetland resources in the Negril Great Morass. Madam Speaker, we are serious about our environment. Our Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, recently announced that the Negril Royal Palm Reserve, which is a part of the Negril EPA, will be developed into an ecotourist attraction with the development of a new water supply system. Discussions are also ongoing with various ministries and several ministers reviewing the way in which we can enhance the protection of our environmental assets. Currently, discussions are ongoing surrounding the passing the necessary laws to strengthen the Negril and Green Island Area Local Planning Authority, formerly known as NEGALPA, for approval and monitoring and enforcement. Madam Speaker, Westmoreland Western produces world-class athletes in their respective fields. At the constituency level, work is being done to encourage our youths to participate in sporting activities. In March this year, we launched the Westmoreland Western Champion League, which saw 15 teams competing for prize medals and the rights to be called champion. Madam Speaker, we also sponsored the Brighton Cricket League, which features cricketers from across the constituency coming to show off their skill sets. Madam Speaker, I would like to update this Honourable House that the Billide playing field, which is being rehabilitated under the Sport Development Foundation, is 90% completed and will be handed over to the Grange Hill High School in short order. Madam Speaker, I would also like to place on record my deep appreciation to Minister of Culture, Minister Grange, Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, Minister Grange, for her continued support and guidance in building the Billide Playfield. Madam Speaker, the Negril Mini Stadium. The Negril Mini Stadium, Madam Speaker, was constructed under the leadership of Minister of Tourism, Minister Edmund Bartlett, MP. Recently received solar lights with the help and support of the Tourist Product Development Company Limited under the Spruce Up Program 2023-24. These lights will not only enhance the safety of the stadium, but will also provide opportunity for nighttime activities. Madam Speaker, with sporting facilities such as the Negril Golf Club, the Negril Tactical Shooting Range, and Jamwest Motorsportsway and Adventure Park, Westmoreland Western is ready to capture a larger section of the sports tourism market. Madam Speaker, the Negril Beach Park. The Negril community and wider Westmoreland welcomed the recent announcement by Prime Minister Andrew Holness of the Negril Beach Park being developed into a prototype of the Harmony Beach Park in Montego Bay, St. James. The Craft and Artisan Village in Negril, which is located next to the beach park, is also slated for development. Madam Speaker, we congratulate Prime Minister Andrew Holness on this announcement and stand ready to work with the Ministry of Tourism, the Tourist Product Development Company Limited, and the Tourist Enhancement Fund to start construction and development of our beach park. Hear, hear. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Labour and Social Security Farm Work Program is the most requested item in my office. Oh, yeah. The Farm Work Program has become legendary over the years for transforming the lives of tens of thousands of Jamaicans. Madam Speaker, in reviewing the program, I ask that the Minister, in designing the program, look at increasing the allocation of farm work cards to farming and rural communities such as Westmoreland Western. Madam Speaker, a meeting was recently held with a group of farmers, many of whom were livestock farmers in Westmoreland, who shared their concern about the sector and renewed their calls for agri-parks in the parish. Madam Speaker, the farmers request lands for planting hay, market for goat meat, veterinarian services, electronic tracking for animals, workshop and training for administering non-veterinarian medications, and protection for farms, family, and livestock. Madam Speaker, farmers complain that the Pre-Dare Larceny Act was innovated when it was introduced and formulated in the 1980s. However, it does not support the development of the sector currently. Farmers also made several suggestions to stem the Pre-Dare Larceny Act, ranging from milder measures such as installing CCTV cameras on farms and direct digital connection alarm system with the police, to more extreme measures such as issuing all farmers with shotguns and amputating those they catch stealing their animals. Madam Speaker, Pre-Dare Larceny not only hinders production and productivity of agriculture and fisheries, but also reduces the growth and expansion of local production and I stand ready to work with the Minister of Agriculture to support our farmers. Madam Speaker, in closing my State of the Constituency debate 2023, I can stand tall and say I am proud of what I have achieved. Yes. I am proud of what the government have achieved. I am proud of the leadership of Andrew Holness, our Prime Minister, have achieved. And I continue to ask the people of Westmoreland Western to continue working to strengthen our partnership as we work to make Westmoreland Western the place of choice to live, work, raise family, and do business. Thank you. Jagai.
Very good.
Yes,
so
thank you.
And I will definitely take on the part that you talk about the international.
Of course.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank the member of Western Westmoreland for his presentation. And now ask you to invite Mr. Robert Chin, Member of Parliament, Manchester Southern, to make his presentation.
We'll now have Mr. Robert Chin, the Member of Parliament for Manchester Southern, who will make his contribution to the State of the Constituency debate. Mr. Robert Chin, MP.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I stand here once again to address this honorable House to make my third presentation in the State of Constituency debate as the Member of Parliament for Manchester Southern. Madam Speaker, in an age where sensationalism and empty rhetoric often dominate the public discourse, it is vital that we remind ourselves of the enduring significance of substance over hype. Madam Speaker, please permit me to recognize and acknowledge the loyal and dedicated people of Manchester Southern who are responsible for my presence in this chamber here today. To my divisional leaders, Councillor Isabel Cherry Brown, Councillor Claudia Moran Baker, Councillor Caretaker Martin Gill, Councillor Caretaker Martin Tomlinson, for their commitment, loyalty, work ethics, and keep it grounded with the constituents in their division. My office manager, Mr. Roshane Morgan, and my administrative assistants, Ms. Denverlane Thompson, who assist me on a daily basis to ensure that the needs of the constituency and constituency are met. To my over 1,100 party workers comprising of cluster supervisors, PD captains, indoor agents, outdoor agents, runners, drivers, even riders, who remain loyal to the aims and objectives of this great party that we represent. To the constituents who elected me to represent them in this honorable House, I'm grateful for your continued loyalty and support, as without you, I would not be standing here today doing another State of the Constituency debate. It is no secret that we have our challenges, but through it all, we managed to remain firm and committed to this great and noble cause. And most importantly, I would like to acknowledge the never-changing presence of the Most High, in whom we live and move and have our being, by whose grace and mercies have brought us through and who has made everything possible. Madam Speaker, I'd like to start my presentation on the topic of education. I could not speak on this salient topic here today without recognizing and commending our teachers, principals, and administrative staff who, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, Youth Information, show up to our 25 noble academic institutions on a daily basis to ensure that the educational needs of our children within Manchester Southern are amply served. We have not just talked about it, but my team and I take time out, especially on Teachers' Day, to show our sincere appreciation for our teachers. The goal of our schools is academic success, regardless of where they are. So we intend to support them and their students. To fulfill this mission, I've spent over $9 million on education grants, school supplies, school books. I also believe in rewarding performance, and therefore the top students from all 25 schools in the constituency, and also 2 additional schools who serve the constituency, but they are not in the constituency. I have ensured that they receive educational grants. Through the CDF and private donations, we were able to provide educational assistance in a number of ways, reaching the most vulnerable students in the constituency through educational grants and school supplies. I continue to offer educational grants to these top students. As we continue to have our social fairs, along with our back-to-school health fairs, in collaboration with the SDC and the various government ministries, agencies, and departments, this year, over 1,500 students benefited from these activities. I would like to pause to thank the doctors and nurses and other volunteers who dedicated their time and resources to provide this service free of cost to the students. I firmly believe in education, and it is the key to ending poverty, socializing a nation into a civil society, and ending the scourge of crime and violence. Madam Speaker, I turn to the state of affairs. The constituency still remains in an underdeveloped state, as with most rural constituencies throughout Jamaica. However, despite the current prevailing circumstances and limitations, the resilient people of Manchester Southern continue to do much with little. Still, we need the opportunity and resources to modernize our rural districts with basic amenities and proper infrastructure. Madam Speaker, if you will permit me, I would like to fulsomely address the perennial issue of roads and water that continues to be a sore point for the people of South Manchester. It is my reasoned belief that if these 2 vital commodities are accessible to the constituents, which is known as a farming district, then the constituents will be in a better position to provide for themselves. If I may, let me just add that they're not looking for handouts or any broker to come buy them out. They are proud, hard-working people, people who value substance over hype. As such, I believe that if given the needed resources, South Manchester will achieve its true potential. They will be better equipped and positioned for attaining sustainable growth and development. Manchester Southern is one of the largest constituencies in Jamaica with 4 parish council divisions, 20 communities as defined by the SDC, 122 districts. It is the only constituency in Jamaica with 3 electoral offices to cover this landmass. Be quiet. It comprises a major road network of approximately 165 kilometers long. And the parochial road surpasses the major roads in length and deterioration. The road network throughout the constituency remain in a deplorable condition for many, many, many long years. Madam Speaker, as I reported last year, it will take approximately $2.46 billion to fix all these major roads in the constituency. Madam Speaker, during my last presentation, I made mention of the restore to Pusey Hill Road via Bussell Lane, and it deteriorates and continues to deteriorate. However, with limited resources, Madam Speaker, we're able to carry out the following road works. A section of Woodlands School Road from Smithfield, a section of Pusey Hill, a section of Frankfield School Road, a section of St. Tullis Road, a section of Red Gate to Cocoa Walk, a section of Lane in Duff House, a section of Lane in New Forest, patching from Newport to Rods Corner, patching from Newport to Woodstock, patching in Warwick, patching from New Forest to Rose Corner, and patching along the Spur Tree Hill. Happy to report that after a long delay, the works to finish the Newport to Smithfield via Rods Corner, Cross Keys, and the road from Pusey Hill to Campbellsfield are now in the evaluation stage of the procurement process. These works total $40 million, and I know the constituents are eagerly awaiting its completion. Notwithstanding that there are several other roads that are badly in need of repairs in other sections of the constituency because they too are rapidly deteriorating. Our farm roads have gone inaccessible, which prevents our farmers from moving their produce effectively, and this, Madam Speaker, is hampering their ability to earn their own livelihood. Madam Speaker, I would like to thank the Honorable Minister of Works, who toured the constituency in January of this year and observed firsthand the deplorable state of the roads. From this effort, Madam Speaker, we eagerly await the Newport to Pusey Hill and the porous to Reevewood roads to be rehabilitated. And that, Madam Speaker, is about a $415 million worth of work. Madam Speaker, I'm pleased to report that the Maypen to William C. leg of the South Coast Highway was officially opened by our most honorable Prime Minister on the 14th of September, 2023. But, Madam Speaker, during this national project, we saw a great transformation. Of our backyards into a superstructure right before our eyes, and at the same time created some employment. I must thank the residents of the poorest division who were adversely affected for their tolerance, cooperation, and understanding during the construction phase. The construction phase came with a plethora of challenges ranging from dust nuisance, noise nuisance, land acquisition problems, damages to property, and some health concerns. And I'm sure the member from Clarendon experienced the same, or some of the same. Madam Speaker, the residents and business operators of Porous, they have two main concerns. One, the economic fallout which may occur because the highway bypasses the town. And two, there's no entrance or exit for the poorest communities. I've had discussions with the relevant authorities, and I'm hoping that this omission will be rectified in the shortest possible time. Madam Speaker, I turn to water. Water is life, and without it, we would literally die. Of the 122 districts, there are approximately 80 districts that are without running water. I have assisted constituencies with over 100 black drums to assist in water harvesting and water storage. Madam Speaker, there are a number of parish tanks that can be rehabilitated so that drinking water can be accessed. Additionally, there are catchment tanks that can be repaired to alleviate the water shortages being experienced by some farmers during the dry season. Let me use this medium, Madam Speaker, to thank the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, who allocated funds, $30 million, to repair a water tank in Plowden. And the state that it was in, Madam Speaker, it is, it's indescribable. The quality of water that was going into that tank was horrible. And even though the warning is there, boiling water, they still consume it without even boiling it. So I'm glad that this project is completed so that clean water can go into the pipes, go into the constituency. I'm also happy to report that the NWC has extended the pipelines into St. Toulis. St. Toulis. And Madam Speaker, there was an excited councillor, if you can see her on the screen now. She did not wait. She took the pipes and put it in the ground herself. Yes. The National Water Commission has reported that new sources are needed to reduce or eliminate the deficit in addition to the non-revenue water projects, and then to identify repairs and leak. In addressing the supply deficit, they recognize that there's a high leakage along the Warwick to Cross Keys, and the project design for this is completed, and it will cost $100 million to complete the work. Alligator Pond will be supplied with additional water from a well that is drilled in the New Forest pumping station, and this will come at a cost of $33 million. Engineering design to upgrade the porous water supply system is complete, and that will begin shortly. Submissions will be made to upgrade the Coffee Grove water system for inclusion in this year's budget. And submission to replace the asbestos pipes running from Porous to Reeswood is already done, and very shortly we will see some work in that area. Madam Speaker, the National Water Commission is budgeting to improve the water supply in the constituency for the following activities for next year's budget. They plan to replace the 8-inch pipes from Pusey Hill to Warwick, replacement of the 8-inch transmission main from Warwick to Crosskey, to extend the distribution main from Victoria Town to Cassava Peace, to extend the distribution main from Portertown into Resource, to increase the distribution network in Grovetown, to link the 2-inch distribution pipes between Resource and Cocoa Walk, to increase the size of the distribution grid in Busso and Prospect Road with 4-inch pipes, to increase the size of the distribution grid from Prattville into Pusey Hill. But remember, this might sound like a lot, but believe me when I tell you that 80 communities out of the 120 are without water. This is still just a drop in the bucket. Madam Speaker, we have a project called the Harmons Valley Water Project, which Jamalco has provided a well located in Harmons to provide domestic water for the residents of Harmons and its environs. With a collaborative effort involving a number of stakeholders, the Harmons Domestic Water Supply Project has now entered into the next phase, which is the funding phase. And we have brought all the financing and funding agencies together so that we can get this project off the ground. Madam Speaker, I turn to agriculture. Agriculture, as I mentioned earlier, is the main way of life for the majority of the residents in the constituency. Hence, greater consideration is necessary to ensure the survival of this critical sector, especially as we bring into focus our country's food security. Our farmers are extremely volatile, and as many may farm, but they do not get to reap what they sow. They suffer from everything that they can think of. No water, drought, they suffer. Plenty water, they suffer. Prey larceny, they suffer. So it is a very risky venture, but our farmers, they do it nonetheless. Farmers suffer crop disease, and we need, Madam Speaker, to ensure that prey larceny in particular is eliminated from our society. It is estimated that prey larceny costs this country $6 billion every year, which is a lot. Working, Madam Speaker, we continue to provide assistance to our farmers with irrigation systems, water tanks, seeds, fertilizers. And Madam Speaker, I've committed $2.5 million from the CDF to assist over 100 farmers this financial year. But notwithstanding this, Madam Speaker, additional resources are needed to provide financial assistance to farmers for them to build water catchment or tanks on their farmlands that they own, provide financial assistance to farmers to buy black drums or water tanks, to provide more agricultural assistance in the form of fertilizers, seeds, sprays, and irrigation system. And more critically, to provide farm roads. And I am grateful that I've been able to complete 3 farm roads since I've been elected. Madam Speaker, the Essex Valley project, which I mentioned last year, which the UK government invested £53 million into agricultural development projects in Jamaica. One of these projects is the Essex Valley project, which spans both in Manchester Southern and St. Elizabeth Eastern. I'm happy to report that the project is now in the construction phase, and its design is to focus on ensuring access to irrigation water in farming communities while adapting to the challenges of climate change. It includes upgrading drainage systems, installing solar generators, and improving farm roads and post-harvest handling. Madam Speaker, I will turn to the issue of land titling and registration. As more and more people try to realize their dreams of owning their own home, I'm happy to report that through the efforts of this government, 78 land titles have been delivered to homeowners in the constituency. 20 were made available through the systematic land titling and registration program in February of this year to title holders in the New Forest and its environs. The program is managed by the National Land Agency and will continue to assist people to become their own land or title owners. 58 titles were made available by Jamaica owing to the efforts of Minister Hutchinson, who has been a stalwart in ensuring that the bauxite companies issue these titles. I often hear the cry that the bauxite companies have many outstanding titles. And, Madam Speaker, I can tell the constituents, rest assured that we'll be working assiduously to have these delivered. Madam Speaker, I am happy to report that our Prattville and Harmons health centers are now renovated. The health of our people is of critical importance. There are some who have the best solutions when they are in opposition. And I would like to describe our health sector as chaotic. Madam Speaker, I would like to thank the Minister of Health who has made significant investment in our health facilities. Never seen before, surely, in my lifetime. Yes, sir. Additional work, Madam Speaker, is scheduled to be undertaken, firstly, at our Cross Keys Health Center, which will be renovated at a cost of $50 million. Land has been identified to relocate our Downs Health Center, and phase 1 of the construction. And for phase 1 of the construction, $55 million was allocated. Discussions are far advanced for the funding of a new health facility to relocate our Newport Health Center, which is currently housed at some residential facility, which is not very tidy. So, Madam Speaker, our health ministry, headed by our minister, is working. Madam Speaker, I'm also happy to report that we have launched 2 additional community Wi-Fi. The first was in Alligator Pond. The second, probably about 2 weeks ago, Harmons Valley, and the third in Pusey Hill. I'll turn quickly onto the pole line extension. What was previously referred to as rural electrification. And I'm very happy that JSIF, and I did not know that this would happen so quickly, but JSIF provided $18 million so that we could have pole line extension in our Prospect community. Madam Speaker, there's nothing more happier than to see the faces of those who come to the light. In closing, Madam Speaker, I hope that I'm not overburdened this Honorable House with some of the happenings in the constituency.
No, sir.
A lot of work has been done in the Manchester Southern constituency, and there's still more to be done. The years of neglect is very evident in the constituency, and the needs of the constituencies are great. And certainly I cannot fix them. 31 years of neglect in 3 years. The constituents have reposed confidence in me to improve their lives and enhance their ability to earn their livelihood. I remain committed and dedicated to serve my constituents. We have the greatest leader in the person of our Honorable Prime Minister.
Yes, sir.
And Jamaicans at home and abroad are thankful that he's the captain of this ship.
Yes, sir.
I thank you, Madam Speaker. I thank you, colleagues, for listening. God bless Jamaica. Land we love.
I really appreciate the pattern that has been established in these constituency debates. There are great speeches of substance, but kept within the limit of 30 minutes as now afforded by the standing order. No need to. The discipline is really appreciated. We'll continue to uphold that new tradition. Love it. Thank you. House Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I now ask that the debate be suspended.
The question is that the state of the constituency debate be suspended. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. House Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it is not contemplated for us to do any further business today. I therefore ask that the House adjourns until Tuesday, October 24, 2023 at 2 p.m., at which time Honorable William J.C. Hutchinson, CD, MP, St. Elizabeth Northwestern, and Honorable Juliet Cuthbert Flynn, OD MP St. Andrew West Rural, will be making their presentations.
The question is that the House do now adjourn until October 17th at 2 p.m. sharp. The question is that the House do now adjourn until October 24th. That's Tuesday, October 24th at 2 p.m. sharp. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. Monday, October 16th, remember, it's a public holiday and would Well, we will be working. That is our job. We serve the people of Jamaica every day, every one of us in this house. So we look forward to resuming our session on the 24th at 2 p.m. sharp, if it so pleases you all. This honorable house now stands adjourned.